In our last video, we talked about the F-117 V3's hand launching systems. Got on the details of how it works and how it's so stable. There's so many great videos being posted on our forum of guys flying their F-117 V3s. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about what is making the F-18 so aerobatically stable. Really good aerobatics is something that very few people really master. And what we were asking is, how can we break this down so it's simpler steps so more of us can master aerobatics? We have a plane that flies more like a video game, so it's doing a lot of the work for us. After over a year in design, the new F-18 V3 brings this aerobatic stability to everyone. Let me go over 3 important points that we found in designing the stability and the aerobatics of the F-18. The first point is, many planes out there have a very unstable platform to start with. This is like when you're learning to ride a bike, you don't even have the training wheels off and you're trying to pop a wheelie. If you got shaky thumbs and a shaky plane and you go to do a loop, what do you think is going to happen? So the F-18 V3 has the most stable platform we've ever designed. The pitch, roll, and yaw on this F-18 have been so dialed in and calibrated that all it wants to do is to continue to center itself. It's inputting its own micro corrections, stabilizing itself for you. We've just taken the same effects of dihedral and applied that to all 3 axes in a very tricky, subtle way. The second point is, many planes have an inefficient power system. Now you have your plane and your power system fighting each other. An expert on our forum, F1 Wannabe, is really good at pointing these kind of things out because he's got a real knack for feeling the subtleties of a plane, both with its aerodynamics and its power systems. So when you see guys doing work on their propellers, their motors, batteries, there's a lot going on there to get those planes dialed in. Now we had to spend years trying to figure this stuff out, not just with the F-18, but all of our designs over the years. So the F-18 V3 is extremely power efficient. Because what we really did is we looked at the most normal power system that we've all been using for a lot of years. That's the 2200 kV, 47 gram outrunner on a 6x4 prop, and go, how do we build a plane around that? Because that power system, you mess with the KVs, you mess with the prop, you're now moving farther away from the ideal setting for a plane. And when I say ideal, I'm saying something that is ideal to apply to the largest number of people. Sure, you can get bigger, faster, heavier, but that's now on a margin of the spectrum here, see? Having the F-18 V3 be extremely efficient with just a stock standard 2200 kV motor is like a flying DeLorean that runs off of garbage. Get your cheap Hobby King motors, throw it on the F-18, and it's going to be at its peak performance. Not because that motor's so good, but because the airframe is so efficient. And the third thing that makes a lot of other planes out there very challenging to fly in aerobatics is that their control surfaces aren't calibrated in. You see this for sure when you see the guys that have the little tips of the wings still on the planes. You know, they have the ailerons that don't go all the way out. They're trying to look like the scale planes. And you know that stuff is just going to break off on the first day. That is showing that somebody is just going to the Google images, taking a scale plane, copying, pasting it, and making an RC plane and selling it as fast as they can. Because that's really what it comes down to. It's not cost effective to redesign the control surfaces to match the RC plane. It's easier to just copy the last guy. And because designers aren't taking the time to calibrate their control surfaces, you, as the consumer, have to pay for it. And that is when you go for a loop, it's going to stall, it's going to fall over. When you go for a roll, it's too fast, it's not enough. The rudders aren't there when you need them. On and on it goes. Because calibrating, you think about dialing in a rifle, it's okay, a little to the left, okay, a little to the right, okay, a little to the left, until you finally walk that thing into perfect. Calibrating control surfaces mean you take the plane out there, up, the controls are way too big. Okay, make them smaller. Up, they're too small. And then you go back and forth until you find the ideal dimensions for those control surfaces. This only comes through painstaking calibration. The F-18's V3's control surfaces have been extremely calibrated over time. And not just the V3's, but the V3 has got a head start off of our V1 and V2 and so on. This is why the F-18 V3 has such an organic feeling in flight. It's why you can take your hands off the controls and it flies straight. So those are the 3 big points of the F-18's aerobatic stability solutions. Number 1, it's the most stable platform we've ever designed. Number 2 is it's extremely power efficient with just a stock 2200 kV motor. And number 3 is the control surfaces have been painstakingly calibrated for you. Plane comes with wiring diagrams, start with those. A personal flight tip I would say for aerobatics is have a parachute plan. What I like to do is use the wiring diagram that has the spoiler-ons. That way, if I ever get into trouble, I can just go to 0 throttle and hit the spoiler-on switch. Pops the 2 ailerons up, puts the plane in a nice high alpha state, and it starts to parachute down. It's almost like a pause button in real life. Just allows you 5 seconds to gather yourself. We got more information in the link down below the video, and if you think this is really cool, wait till you see the MiG-29 V3 V3 and how it's become more stable at fast speeds.